Welcome to our Aus Healthy Life Chanel. Today I am going to talk about healthy diet for adults and children's. Consuming a healthy diet throughout the life course helps to prevent malnutrition in all its forms, as well as a range of noncommunicable diseases, NCDs, and conditions. However, increased production of processed foods, rapid urbanization and changing lifestyles have led to a shift in dietary patterns. People are now consuming more foods high in energy, fats, free sugars and salt, sodium, and many people do not eat enough fruit, vegetables and other dietary fiber such as whole grains. The exact makeup of a diversified, balanced and healthy diet will vary depending on individual characteristics. For example, age, gender, lifestyle and degree of physical activity, cultural context, locally available foods and dietary customs. However, the basic principles of what constitutes a healthy diet remain the same. A healthy diet for adults includes the following: fruit, vegetables, legumes, e.g. lentils and beans, nuts and whole grains. For example, unprocessed maize, millet, oats, wheat and brown rice. At least 400 grams of fruit and vegetables per day, excluding potatoes, sweet potatoes, cassava and other starchy roots. Less than 10% of total energy intake from free sugars, which is equivalent to 50 grams, or about 12 level teaspoons, for a person of healthy body weight consuming about 2,000 calories per day. But ideally is less than 5% of total energy intake for additional health benefits. Free sugars are all sugars added to foods or drinks by the manufacturer, cook or consumer, as well as sugars naturally present in honey, syrups, fruit juices and fruit juice concentrates. Less than 30% of total energy intake from fats. Unsaturated fats, found in fish, avocado and nuts, and in sunflower, soybean, canola and olive oils, are preferable to saturated fats, found in fatty meat, butter, palm and coconut oil, cheese, ghee and lard, and trans fats of all kinds, including both industrially produced trans fats, found in baked and fried foods, and pre-packaged snacks and foods, such as frozen pizza, pies, cookies, biscuits, wafers, and cooking oils and spreads, and ruminant trans fats, found in meat and dairy foods from ruminant animals, such as cows, sheep, goats and camels. It is suggested that the intake of saturated fats be reduced to less than 10% of total energy intake and trans fats to less than 1% of total energy intake. In particular, industrially produced trans fats are not part of a healthy diet and should be avoided. Less than 5 grams of salt, equivalent to about 1 teaspoon, per day. Salt should be iodized. Healthy food for infants and young children. In the first 2 years of a child's life, optimal nutrition fosters healthy growth and improves cognitive development. It also reduces the risk of becoming overweight or obese and developing NCDs later in life. Advice on a healthy diet for infants and children is similar to that for adults. But the following elements are also important. Infants should be breastfed exclusively during the first 6 months of life. Infants should be breastfed continuously until 2 years of age and beyond. From 6 months of age, breast milk should be complemented with a variety of adequate, safe and nutrient-dense foods. Salt and sugars should not be added to complementary foods. Practical advice on maintaining a healthy diet. Fruit and vegetables. Eating at least 400 grams, or 5 portions, of fruit and vegetables per day reduces the risk of NCDs and helps to ensure an adequate daily intake of dietary fiber. Fruit and vegetable intake can be improved by always including vegetables in meals, eating fresh fruit and raw vegetables as snacks, eating fresh fruit and vegetables that are in season, and eating a variety of fruit and vegetables. Fats. Reducing the amount of total fat intake to less than 30% of total energy intake helps to prevent unhealthy weight gain in the adult population. Also, the risk of developing NCDs is lowered by reducing saturated fats to less than 10% of total energy intake. reducing trans fats to less than 1% of total energy intake, and replacing both saturated fats and trans fats with unsaturated fats. In particular, with polyunsaturated fats. Fat intake, especially saturated fat and industrially produced trans fat intake, can be reduced by steaming or boiling instead of frying when cooking. Replacing butter, lard and ghee with oils rich in polyunsaturated fats, such as soybean, canola, rapeseed, corn, safflower and sunflower oils. Eating reduced fat dairy foods and lean meats. Or trimming visible fat from meat, and limiting the consumption of baked and fried foods and pre-packaged snacks and foods, for example, donuts, cakes, pies, cookies, biscuits and wafers, that contain industrially produced trans fats. Salt, sodium and potassium. Most people consume too much sodium through salt, corresponding to consuming an average of 9 to 12 grams of salt per day, and not enough potassium. High sodium intake and insufficient potassium intake contribute to high blood pressure, which in turn increases the risk of heart disease and stroke. Reducing salt intake to the recommended level of less than 5 grams per day could prevent 1.7 million deaths each year. People are often unaware of the amount of salt they consume. In many countries, most salt comes from processed foods. Or from foods consumed frequently, and large amounts salt is also added to foods during cooking, for example, bouillon, stock cubes, soy sauce and fish sauce, or at the point of consumption, for example, table salt. Salt intake can be reduced by limiting the amount of salt and high sodium condiments, for example, soy sauce, fish sauce and bouillon, when cooking and preparing foods. Not having salt or high sodium sauces on the table. Limiting the consumption of salty snacks, and choosing products with lower sodium content. Some food manufacturers are reformulating recipes to reduce the sodium content of their products, and people should be encouraged to check nutrition labels to see how much sodium is in a product before purchasing or consuming it. Potassium can mitigate the negative effects of elevated sodium consumption on blood pressure. Intake of potassium can be increased by consuming fresh fruit and vegetables. Sugars. In both adults and children, the intake of free sugars should be reduced to less than 10% of total energy intake. A reduction to less than 5% of total energy intake would provide additional health benefits. Consuming free sugars increases the risk of dental caries, tooth decay. Excess calories from foods and drinks high in free sugars also contribute to unhealthy weight gain, which can lead to overweight and obesity. Recent evidence also shows that free sugars influence blood pressure and serum lipids, and suggests that a reduction in free sugars intake reduces risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. Sugars intake can be reduced by limiting the consumption of foods and drinks containing high amounts of sugars, UCH, as sugary snacks, candies and sugar-sweetened beverages. That is, all types of beverages containing free sugars. These include carbonated or non-carbonated soft drinks, fruit or vegetable juices and drinks, liquid and powder concentrates. Flavored water. Energy and sports drinks. Ready-to-drink tea. Ready-to-drink coffee and flavored milk drinks, and eating fresh fruit and raw vegetables as snacks instead of sugary snacks. Before you go, if you benefiting any my content, please subscribe my YouTube channel. Then you can get notification about my next important video.